I take the opportunity to thank Senator Parker for her kind words, and I think that no one else would have done a much better job in delivering the keynote. I think she ought to be given a round of applause. The words were indeed relevant and certainly applicable for us here today. We certainly do look forward as a ministry working with the Ministry of Health and Social Transformation on that new project, and in any way we can assist, please let us know. Antigua and Barbuda continues to make progress despite its challenges in the promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women at the national levels, and has undertaken a number of initiatives since last reporting to the Commission on Women in this regard. Moreover, excuse me one tiny second. I think I'll need a woman to get this right. And the right woman has arrived. There we go. All right. And we thank the gentleman for coming to the woman's assistance. Antigua and Barbuda continues to make progress despite its challenges in the promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women at the national levels. And has undertaken a number of initiatives since last reporting to the Commission on Women. Moreover, the government of Antigua and Barbuda recognizes that continued investment in the realization of these goals serve as a catalyst to the national development. Violence against women and girls occurs in all countries, contexts, and settings. Antigua and Barbuda is no exception. It is one of the most pervasive violations of human rights. The elimination and prevention of all forms of violence against women and girls is a priority area of action for the Directorate of Gender Affairs in Antigua and Barbuda. The Directorate of Gender Affairs is the national machinery responsible for promoting gender equality and women's empowerment in Antigua and Barbuda. I am pleased to report on the initiatives undertaken by my government to eliminate and prevent all forms of violence against women and girls in our Twin Island state. My government has passed legislation to prevent and protect women and girls from all forms of violence, which includes the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons legislation in 2010, and have issued charges under this legislation. I'm also pleased to report that the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and Empowerment of Women, UN Women, through its regional office for the Caribbean, supported the government of Antigua and Barbuda in the development of a national strategic plan to end gender-based violence. This action plan was approved by the Cabinet earlier this month. Implementation of related project activities has already commenced to strengthen the capacity and accountability of the civil service to prevent, protect, and respond to those impacted by gender-based violence. I take this opportunity to extend my government's appreciation to UN Women for its valuable assistance. This progress comes as the nation mitigates the challenges of recovering its economy from a global financial crisis, where tourism, the mainstay of Antigua and Barbuda's economy, was greatly and adversely affected. This progress further comes as our country grapples with an increase in crime and violence against women and girls. The theme of this year's session, elimination and prevention of all forms of violence against women and girls, contextually meets one of our greatest development challenges and speaks to one of the key focus areas of this government in responding to the critical concerns of the citizens and residents it serves. Antigua and Barbuda is adopting an integrated multi-agency approach to addressing gender-based violence, linking the judicial, health, and social services sectors, as well as the community in responding to crimes with the aim of achieving a violence-free society. And you would have heard Senator Parker speaking of this. My government has introduced training for key stakeholders to include registered nurses as sexual assault nurse examiners who would be equipped with the tools to undergo examinations and evidence gathering while issuing gender-sensitive medical care and treatment to those victims of gender-based violence. With the assistance of UN Women, we are training police officers to exercise gender-responsive sexual assault and domestic violence protocols, which ensures that survivors are provided with the appropriate support and from advocates and counselors immediately after reporting the crimes committed against them. Further support and international cooperation is needed for the realization of this aim. My government has also involved men and boys as part of the strategy to eliminate and prevent violence against women and girls. A growing number of men are taking a stand against gender-based violence and for gender equality. Thank you, Senator Parker. Gender society organizations such as the National Football Association host annual campaigns to end violence against women, engaging patrons to express their support to healthy, violent-free families and communities. National policy instruments are increasingly recognizing the link of gender-based violence to other critical areas, such as the National HIV/AIDS Strategy, which acknowledges HIV as both a cause and consequence of gender-based violence, exploring gender-sensitive responses to the HIV/AIDS epidemic. Antigua and Barbuda also completed a review of working conditions as related legislation to domestic work in support of the ILO Convention concerning decent work for domestic workers. We recognize the necessity to dismantle systemic forms of oppression, including those that impact migrant communities and vulnerable women, such as those forced into sexual exploitation. My government recognizes the need to promote the participation of women in politics and decision-making. The Directorate of Gender Affairs continues to serve as the Secretariat for the Community Institute for Women in Leadership, CWIL. CWIL has trained more than 100 women aspiring or acting in various levels of political and community-based leadership from across the region in the past 2 years, with the aim of increasing the number of women in leadership, power, and decision-making towards achieving a critical mass for the region. Antigua and Barbuda considers the full and effective implementation of its international commitments to gender mainstreaming and all areas critical for achieving equality between women and men. As a result, we recognize the continued work which needs to be done to meet these important priorities. And added to the call by the Permanent Secretary for a public holiday to be declared, I too would wish to signal the Ministry's intent to lead discussions with the Minister of National Security and Labor in relation to equal pay for women and men. In closing, I wish to acknowledge the support of organizations and individuals to work to ensure that gender equality and women's empowerment are rights for all women in Antigua and Barbuda. These include international and regional agencies, the civil society organizations, individual advocates, and survivors who are the voices of this struggle. And so today, on behalf of our substantive minister, the Honorable Dr. Jackie Quinley Andrew, I wish to declare this fair in celebration of our women and girls officially open. Thank you.